But sometimes it's fun that, I could use these drawings that I've done there with all the different angles, and you can turn and turn. It always makes new sense. You see new things. So I was like, you could do that on shoes. But now we went in a totally different direction. And it's all about, I like the people, I like the product, and it's more like the feeling. And I want to be involved with people with good energy. And I think that's a very important aspect. Go with people that give you back a good energy. And this is really something very symbiotic now. Like, we lift us, what is it? Like, we lift us up one
Yes.
another, like we cheer us up. And when we see us, it's like, it's really positive, the whole exchange. And we can profit each other from the other, and we are inspiring the other. Like, we are good in different things, and sometimes we are good in the same. And also, we did the collection together. And yeah, it's very rewarding on a
Yeah.
whole other level.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Creativity Worth Expressing. I am your host, Ryan Anthony Hernandez, and today I'm with special guest and dear friend, Corinne Sutter. Corinne, thank you for being here.
Hi, Ryan. Thank you for being here too. And thanks for inviting me to the podcast.
So Corinne is, if you don't know her, she is an amazing artist, a speed painter, and she has also other projects. And we're going to be getting into her creative process, her love for art. So I hope that those of you who are tuning in enjoy this episode. So to get started, I wanted to ask Corinne, how did you find your love for creativity? Where did it spark?
I think it has just always been there, like more in form of like a need to express my feelings. Like, there's so much to digest, and I think people have different ways to deal with emotions and thoughts. And for me, there's always been a huge need to channel these thoughts, and I couldn't do it just, talking to friends, especially in a very young age. So already at the age of 4, I've wanted to play the violin, for example, and then with 5, I've started to play the violin. But also later on, I would just start drawing when I was at home alone, and played the violin for myself, and that did some improvising. So very early, I had started like my own expression, and it's been a need that I've always had. But also, it's not that a miracle, that much of a miracle that I've come up with that, because my parents actually, they are very creative. So, with different parents, maybe this would have been channeled into more like sports, or, you go, I don't know, maybe you go to a football match or something like, there's different ways to kind of find excitement and deal with emotions. And for me, this was something very personal, but I've seen it from my parents. They had, drawn in their leisure time. They've been both like teachers, splitting one job into two. Like they worked 50% each, or I would rather say they worked each maybe 70% each for one job. And so they had time aside, and it was very creative. Also doing stuff with wood, and making models for the students again. And everybody was playing music. My mother liked this flute. Which one is that?
Uh, Flutes, yeah, flute,
Is that is
clarinet,
that like, yeah, like
tr-
Liesel?
uh,
That
trumpet.
flute?
No, not flute. Oh man,
No, no, it's that one that you hold on the sides.
clarinet. No.
Yeah. And my father has played the piano, and then also my two sisters, they've played the piano, and one did singing and writes her own music and still does. And is just singer-songwriter, and the other has played the accordion. So, my whole family has been all about arts in the leisure time. So it's not that much of a miracle that me too, I had this need and this, desire to express myself.
Can you share any experiences that you had in the beginning that strongly influenced your artistic journey? Or can you share of maybe a mentor who influenced you in your artistic journey? Either or.
I would have loved to have a mentor. I hadn't known about that for very long. And then when I had known that, there had been like very rich kids with, like mentors, or maybe they had like private teachers, and I had like visions to have that too, and like to have somebody that really takes care of you and sees your skills and, makes you grow. Maybe one teacher for everything or different teachers, but you will not have that usually. And for me, I had, of course, always a violin teacher. And when I was like maybe 6, I went back to that lesson, and then I had done a little composition, very basic. We will not like make up I'm a Mozart or something, but I've done a little composition, and I've also done a drawing. So it's a bit funny because it's two passions I still strongly have, and it's two things I don't want to miss in my life. So very early, I had this need to kind of do my own thing, like she was so impressed. Like she was, wow, I've never seen a child doing her own composition. And so I had maybe this Mozart moment a bit kind of, this reaction was very strong, and I was pleased, but also very shy. I mean, also, she was also critic, like, yeah, the end is not an actual ending, of the song, but there is like potential. But then also, I'm not the kind of person to do it over and over again. So I was like, I liked the experience, but then this was just in my mind. And I went back to writing my own songs, and also like singer-songwriter stuff, or compositions which are maybe very classically inspired, but then my own way in all different directions. I've been in tango group, so there has been influence in that direction too, and yeah, so that has been an interesting episode, and it will take sometimes many years, and then suddenly this comes back, this experience, like, composing was very good thing, and then it's just coming back into life. It's not dead, and sometimes we don't or we shouldn't underestimate what it means if you are adult and you say something to a child. Also, I did a drawing in my vacations, and it was like a black teacher, and she was so, I had like this vision of a very friendly teacher, and she was so beautiful and so lovely, and it was maybe like my dream teacher. But there's even like a little maybe political interpretation or aspect, because actually we did not have any, people of color teaching in my town. But I wrote a title to this piece of art, and I'd just been 7 years old. But I remember so strongly that I've always had this like idea of doing a piece. It's not just a drawing, and even it kind of insulted a bit of my artistic soul, like when somebody just wanted you to draw like a little child. I was like, I want to make a piece of art, but I wouldn't say this to people. I realized it's maybe cringe to say that, but for me inside, I had a title, and I thought you have to give this a bit of respect and time to develop, and not just take your piece of paper and draw this and over. I couldn't really deal so well with this school kind of art. I would rather had a project, and with like some how to say, like a meaning behind. And in school, it's more like you draw that and you did well, and I did well, luckily. But actually, it was kind of more a superficial approach at that time. But I don't judge. It's like, I really understand that concept too. But nowadays, it's coming back also when I give workshops. Those are very, very free, and they really take the children's brains that are so open. And I take that not as chaos. I see that as a huge chance and a huge like a potential of creativity, which is open in so many directions. You just need to, give it some water and some love and some time, and then it can explore, and it can give the children so many new ideas about themselves. And so that's the approach that I like. So you see, things of the childhood, sometimes they can have a intense influence on a person.
Yeah, and when we look at your life, I mean, not to be too analytical, but when we look at your progress, you really grew. The potential is has grown from that childhood to who you are today. Would you say that you were ahead of your time when you were a 7-year-old doing art and trying to get deeper already and trying to, putting the names? Were you ahead of your time in the class that you were in, you would say?
That's I don't love to be seen as anyhow arrogant and any negative things. So, those questions are a bit tricky. So, but I want to hold on to what I think is the truth. I would say maybe I was not ahead, but school wasn't ready for that.
Uh-huh.
So no, no, it's the same. I mean, I'm kidding. Yeah, I would say that time the school system. Luckily, it's already developed. When I look how my grandmother has gone to
Mhm.
school, like that was a bit different school, like connected with church, and also like girls went to totally different schools than boys. And they had also like a little backpack, and the boys had big ones for all these things they learned. The girls, you don't need that. The whole wisdom. I always make jokes, yeah, they had the wisdom up here, so they didn't need, this big backpack. Yeah, there's so much already happened, but actually I was always surprised again and again because I was always like, yeah, I'm living in the, not in the future, I'm living in the present, I'm living in the modern world.
Mhm.
I consider my world as very modern. And maybe that was also the way I thought because my parents were very modern. And for me, that was normal. So actually, this norm I've had from at home was like, that's my basis. So let's move on from there. And then you kind of realize it's like a little travel back to the past sometimes when you get,
Mhm.
like feedbacks and it's like, what? Even when I started as a artist with 17 years old, I've sent my drawings. I don't know if I've already mentioned that in the other podcast that we've had, but I've sent drawings to a agent, and yeah, he was like, yeah, but it's the male business. And I was like, yeah, even the more you need girls, even the more
Mhm.
you need women, and even who the hell cares? I mean, if you
Mhm.
do a nice drawing, it's just a nice drawing. Who the hell cares? But yeah, some people care. And this whole thing, it's also, a gender thing that you get feedbacks that is very astonishingly for me. And I had to get used to it. I had to realize how to take them. And then I also had to realize, like, it's not my problem if they live in kind of a past.
Yeah.
You know, if I always say, if you, yeah, we kind of have to make sure that, yeah, tomorrow we don't hold on to the past. We really have to already predict what will be the norm of tomorrow and just live already that. Like fake it until you make it. So that's a
Yeah.
bit my approach. I don't want to be like stopped by this kind of old-fashioned mindset. And school, of course, that sometimes been hard because I've been very ambitious and very fast. I'm probably still the same. Maybe luckily or sadly, I don't know what is stronger. But sometimes my speed was not really accordingly to the school speed, and that actually made me in the end say I will not take the path of an academic career, and that has been a huge influence that I've become an artist. So you can see that as positive or negative. Like a person that would have loved to see me as an academic student and move on in that kind of career will say like, oh, so sad we lost her.
Mhm.
And on the other hand, I hope I can provide some fun and some excitement and some maybe also out of the box thinking now as an artist and maybe even have more people that I can reach. But one part of me is still like, with 17 years old, I've left that path and said, how can I actually maybe make money? And so I was like, I think arts, that's very free and you can like grow for your whole life. There will be not a body that says now 37, oh, now you will probably not be a football player anymore, which is a bit of how to say a fantasy too, but art to become an artist is a fantasy for many people as well. So for me, that's very interesting. You're not so much depending on your body, and you can just always discover and explore your whole life.
Well, I
That
think
is,
it's a gift what what you're talking about. I mean, it can be a positive, and for some, it can be a negative, like you mentioned. Oh, we lost her, the academics, but it's what you have achieved. It's been a gift. Even your speed and your ambitious. It's a gift to the art world. And talking about speed, I wanted to jump into now your process. Can you
Mhm.
walk us through what is your process when it comes to your speed painting, when it comes to the preparation and when
Mhm.
you're on stage doing your project? How is that? Can you walk us through it?
Yes. Um, First of all, I have many different ways of doing speed painting entertainment, and it can be going to like a stand-up version. Like I do some stand-up stuff, and then I will draw at the same time, and more you will see. Every drawing that I do is like like kind of a quote, and maybe I make fun of something, maybe I say something, yeah, like very deep, maybe in an ironic way, but still deep, like different layers. So sometimes I spend lots of time just thinking of the things I want to say. And that's one direction. And sometimes I do interactions. So I've just lately, actually, just 40 minutes before this show, I've come up with the idea that actually I can do like a joke that I do an interaction show. So people come to me on stage and then together we do like a little workshop, which is very ironic because I will not do a workshop as an entertainment thing, but people will most likely realize very soon that it's ironic, everything. But then, I have some volunteers and then I've told them, everybody reads down one of the like the lead quotes or of the company. What is the word for that? Like, you know what I mean? Maybe like these motifs, like the motivation quotes,
Mhm.
the principles of a company. And then I summarized that with a very fun, like a drawing, which had two meanings. So you could do the word with two different drawings, like a cocktail, for example. Yeah, no, that's a bad example, but yeah, you have like, yeah, you can sometimes draw stuff differently. Yeah.
Mhm.
In English, I don't have so many, but in German, you can really easily find
Oh,
words. You draw, and then I drew it for the audience so they could see the actual deep interpretation of this.
can you give
Yeah.
us a German example of a word?
Um, yeah, a very funny one I would say is a Waage. No, it's the Anker. The anchor. It's like when a ship does not want to move anymore, you
Mm.
do down stuff that sticks to the floor. I'm not actually confirmed with. Do you know what
Anchor.
it is? It's an anchor. Okay, just
Yeah. Yeah.
and then we have a very famous Swiss artist. So I've taken the time uh, to draw first an anchor, so huge, everybody could see an anchor. And this guy who was reading this lead quote or lead motive of the company, he saw this painting, with this one of these very famous paintings. And he was from the French part of Switzerland, so it was very funny because I gave him always the very hard tasks. She briefed me a little bit like who is more like serious, who is more like open for everything, who is more like the guy that you can take to really roast him and do
Mhm.
all the irony. And so he always got the hardest jobs. The other were like, yeah, you do you do great. And and then he was like, I said, yeah, what do you see? He was like, yeah, a picture painting a girl. I'm like, who the hell did you give to me? This is like supposed to be an artistic show, and what the quality of my volunteers, please, so you can make some fun out
Yeah.
of that. So he always got the really hard jobs every time. So that was like a running gag, and this has been fun because that preparation was actually just the idea just came into my head just really 40 minutes before it, and so I was like, yeah, I was like, writing down these phrases, and I thought it's a bit boring. So how to spice it up, like make it more interesting and fun. And then the idea came, and I was like, yeah, cool. And then you just have to go and try it. I was like, yeah, maybe it will be weird or disorganized a bit because it's the first time. But then people reacted very positive, and I always like to do that, like try new stuff, even though it was not maybe what you've planned the day before. But if you have a new idea coming up, be courageous because you only have one life. Just try it, and if they didn't like it so much, maybe two people love it as incredibly. And then you know, okay, maybe I can adjust it next time a little bit. But I think it's important to always keep trying stuff out, even if it's like serious already. But that's a bit my approach to life. That I think, yeah, I'm not now like, you know, I'm not operating on the heart. You know, somebody could die. And in a different aspect, also operating on the heart of people, but it's like nobody will ever die. Maybe they don't have as much fun or whatever, but actually, I always love to take the risk, and I mostly it has a very positive coming out, and yeah, so that was a fun preparation just lately, and yeah, usually I just try to find out what's the best version I can actually bring myself in as an artist, but maybe more than just these entertainment. Aspect because I think this is so limited and I've done it for a while and I realized I can't identify myself so much. And then more and more I was like, yeah, come on, who said how your entertainment has to be? I mean, nobody has done that exactly before. So you have to be just the first one to do your own interpretation of doing art shows. I mean, there's different people doing art shows. I don't say I'm like the absolute, you know, pioneer, but you can always be pioneer in a new interpretation of what other people already do because I don't want to be a copy. And sometimes people told me, this kind of show, like with Pulver that I've done in the viral show, with the powder that I've thrown. Yeah, we've seen it now also there and there. Then I'm like, okay, you know, it's like people say, yeah, this Chinese guy, he does the exact same thing as you. Very cool. I'm like, this rather makes me kind of, I mean, it's cool that, you know, other people, how to say, they maybe appreciate what I did and I appreciate what he did, whatever. That's cool. But on the other hand, I think everybody should have like an individual approach because we are individuals. And I'm sure we are the best if we kind of come up with a new formula. So I really have so many different directions now. Like also I've sometimes the more intellectual one, like with the last job in this year, I've been at the opening event of the first industrially used quantum computer in Switzerland. So it's really like they can now commercially use it. It's not just science, but it's a lot of science. So I really went the extra mile to go there before and then talk to my customer and maybe see the quantum computer and see the place. And then I had a hologram like Paula. My new friend is Paula. She's she's the AI, and so she was there three-dimensional as a hologram. You know, it just came up when we've talked together. I was like, yeah, I would like to do a battle AI against AI, and she was like, yeah, what? And I was like, yeah, artificial intelligence against artistic intelligence. And I want to make a battle, like, you know, in a fun way, but to see where is the limits of each. And, you know, then I had like a fun conversation, like I told her about my speech I'm about to write, like there's a monkey in every monkey. So she was allowed to give me or everybody, the audience, the interpretation that she had on it. And then she was going so detailed then you can, it's very funny. Then you can say like, stop, Paula. And then she will be silent in a second. And that has like an atmosphere of being very insulted, you know? And then I was like, yeah, stop, Paula. I want a speech. I want to write my speech myself, you know? It's not like you will do that for me. It's like, there's like a limit, you know? We can have a chat about stuff, but you will not take my job away. So I love to give, you know, people maybe on a different level, you can see the interpretation of like little situations like this. Because that was a bigger discussion about do we have to be afraid of the technical movement? And I wanted to kind of ease everybody and like show, come on, she can do stuff, I can do stuff, and we can perform together even the better. So, you know, I love to find a positive approach to this development. And that's just one, you know, show of many, but it's just been the last show this year. So here you see it's totally different than only just comedy or maybe for climate now there was very deep stuff because it's about climate change and I don't make fun of that, you know. So there are also I came up with word games and then I'm actually thinking a lot. So
Yeah.
until my man has to have time, days to digest and yeah.
So what I love about this interview, because this podcast that I'm doing now, it's completely different from the other podcasts that I had before. This podcast is all about creativity, art, and I want to talk about all of it. I know we can't
Mhm.
talk about all of it today. I mean there's only so much time we have.
Yeah.
Uh, but what I love is seeing you. What we're seeing is you're not just a one-dimensional artist, and you're not a copycat, because sadly there are a lot of copycats, or there are people who are maybe inspired but
Yeah.
they don't kind of take risks. And
Yeah.
we're hearing for you, oh my god, you're going out there doing the working with the AI, then you're doing the what is that? You're doing the gags, so you're getting the comedy going in. So we're seeing this uh, expansion of your creativity and your imagination, and I am just so excited for all the artistic journeys that you're going to have in the future. But before we get into all for the future, uh, let's go back to the projects that you are doing. Yes, you're doing speed painting, but you mentioned I think you're doing a few other projects. What other projects is it that you are currently doing? And if you can share a bit about that with the audience.
Yes. Since this summer, I'm having a bit more time because I have three children, and to me, it's very important to not be that kind of career woman that forgets about, the importance of giving them time and love and spending, yeah, really time with them. And so I've done that for many years and still do. But now I have a bit more time because the smallest child is in the kindergarten, and I have some hours every day which are really, like, I can kind of make my own schedule, which I will probably still change, but at least I have the time to work on my own stuff and not just only focus on shows, which has been before when I had limited time. It was really reduced to the shows, and now I can finally do my own project. And first thing that just kind of happened was that people that I know personally, they have a shoe. How to say, they developed a cool shoe that is very stylish. I can show you. Well, that's already with the work I've done on it, but that's the shoe. And yeah, I've had the idea, and they were very open for that too because they love to see the shoe like as a canvas. So I've had the idea to do some art on it, and this is actually a very wild interpretation. We have, I don't know if you can see, we have even like holographic elements going on.
Okay.
Uh, so this was one of the test shoes. I've just done so many different things, and I've bought tattoo machine, and then learned just quickly and superficially, but just enough that I can work. I've learned a bit to do tattooing on fruits, and I've seen many tutorials. I love that, and the just to go into a different field. And I will not be as arrogant to say now I'm a tattoo artist now. Absolutely not. But I just use tools from different worlds, and as long as I don't go on your skin,
Mhm.
that's a different thing. I tattooed this shoe because it's leather. It's also like a skin, and then I went on with like this heating technique that is actually used in the print industry, and I've learned from this industry like 15, 20 years ago. I've been, on a place, like on a fair, and I've been a caricaturist there. And then I've seen this gold print, and I was like, yeah, how do you do that? So we were just talking, and then he was like, yeah, there's like a material that's something like thin material, metallic, and then you will have a certain heat that you need and all that. So he actually sent me some of them, these rolls, and then they were just in my art house. yeah, they were just in my atelier forever. And sometimes it happens like that, you know. Sometimes, as I've said, sometimes it takes many years until things make sense. And that can make sometimes very desperate because sometimes you're in a part of your life that you have like certain skills, but it's like nothing really growing. Like, what should that be? It's kind of, you know, a bit of everything, but nothing really. And so it was really cool to see like after the vacations of this summer when I've had a bit more time, like now things start making more sense, you know, like I can use tools on actual projects and they even loved it, you know, and actually they have shown now different styles. That's just a very wild one. We have
Mhm.
like more domestic shoes and just very different styles. And then they have shown it to people that have like an idea about art and about you know, the whole industry of shoes and what is trend and everything. And I don't really care about trend so much, so I don't have a clue. Also, I don't spend time about that so much. And I need people to kind of, you know, give me a direction. And yeah, they did that. And so they give me positive feedback that gave me lots of motivation. And I call probably inspiration, would say for me, it's like the same as motivation generally, but it's just more maybe in the context of arts, you would call it inspiration. But actually, feeling, I think, is very similar. Somebody gives me positive feedback about something that makes like an explosion in my mind. And then in the same second, already, you know, several paths are open for new, you know what I mean, new ideas again. And then this goes on and on, like a tree, always like a tree, you know. You have branches and then you have little different branches going out from there. You just always have to make sure you maybe sometimes follow one bigger branch to have maybe something that rewards in the end, like some benefit. Yeah, in the end, now we just had a big like a big happening in Paris, which was very cool. We could show this shoe collection first time, like officially in Paris in a very cool store. I don't know how many names I should drop. Boys don't cry. Yeah, but it's not about commercial now. It's just really about telling you that this is a very cool collab. Also because what always comes back is a topic of ecological aspect, and this shoe has like now it's a bit commercial, but this shoe has like this special part of the shoe that will be broken the fastest of all the parts of the shoe. This will be the reason that people throw it away, because nobody's going to repair a shoe nowadays usually. But then here you can really just replace it, you know, several times. And for me, that was the reason why I went into that collab. So for me, it's like a project collapse against the collapse.
Mhm.
Yeah, you got it. So,
Yeah.
so you got it too. And yeah, collapse against the collapse. And I want to actually focus only on brands that do something which I consider ecologically reasonable. Yeah, that's the modern world for me. Yeah.
So with this shoe collab that you're doing, can you give us the story? Like, how did you approach them? Did they approach you, or what? How did it even get started? Because this is pretty awesome what you're doing.
Thank you. Actually, it the founder of Win is a friend of us. Actually, you know, she was presented to me as a new girlfriend some years ago of a friend of us, and today, you know, he's even like related to a child of mine as like godfather, and you know, and so they are godfathers from each children. So it's really now familiar and. Actually, I had just known that they were at the Art Basel, and I've been just very impressed. Like, wow, they're doing stuff at the Art Basel with a big connection with a guy that is really in the art scene. And I was like, uh, that could be interesting for me too. Just even, you know, to see what they do, and who knows, to maybe do an artistic collab too. I've known that they do an artistic collab with a person, and I was like, yeah. But I don't want to overdo because they already have a collab going on and so they are busy, you know. So I was just going to Basel and doing the Art Basel, and I've seen all that, what they did. And then actually I've just talked to my friend about how is it going, and then he was giving me feedback, and part of it was great. Another part was like, yeah, it's maybe yeah not that project forever. And then yeah, so I was like, just I just that I've mentioned it, I'm there too. You can always have me in mind if ever you have an idea or you need somebody. And I knew also they go to Miami and to London, so I'm like, yeah, it's maybe not so much about money, really. It's about that sounded very interesting. For me, money is one aspect in life, but it's really always it's over estimated sometimes. I mean, of course, that sounds like she's like this rich Swiss person, and I don't want to go so much deeper in how rich I am, but I just can mention that I've built this art house. That is the proof that yes, I've worked my ass off, and I still do. But it's also kind of a proof if you build in Switzerland, it's also probably a sign that the money's in there. It's in the woods. So you see, but still, it just I don't just want to sound so like over privileged. I don't think that's the case so much. It's really, I just think this dimension has to be discussed now and then too. And so it was not like, I see big money for me. Or even like the network, I want to take it over or something. It was like, I liked the founder of the shoe. I like the product. I love like to have another canvas, which is not just in somebody's house afterwards. So it's three-dimensional. You can also say like, what is down and up in a shoe? Like, is this down? Or when you wear it like that, um, it's like what has to be if there would be like an up and a down, it's not 100% clear. You look at a different angle when you wear it or when somebody else looks at it. So you can actually have a motif that makes sense from all the different angles. And I like that. I did something on ceramics, and actually that was my thing that I've sent them. I've done something on ceramics for charity long time ago, and this was not so rewarding for me. And it was not that such a great collab, but I've done it. And so sometimes it's fun that I could use these drawings that I've done there with all the different angles, and you can turn and turn. It always makes new sense. And you see new things. So I was like, you could do that on shoes. But now we went in a totally different direction. And it's all about, I like the people, I like the product, and it's more like the feeling. And I want to be involved with people with good energy. And I think that's a very important aspect. Go with people that give you back good energy. And this is really something very symbiotic now. Like, we lift us, what is it? Like, we lift us up one another.
Yes.
Like, we cheer us up. And when we see us, it's like, it's really positive, the whole exchange. And we can profit each other from the other, and we are inspiring the other. Like, we are good in different things, and sometimes we are good in the same. And also we did the collection together, and yeah, it's very rewarding on
Yeah.
a whole other level.
And it's cool what you're doing. I think if they're available in the States, I mean, will they be available in the States or are they?
Like that's they have contact to America, and they are in touch. And right now it's a very interesting episode also for them, like in which direction they go. And I will know very soon more. But right now they're talking with yeah,
Oh,
different.
I wanted to go real quick on the design of the shoe, or the work that you did behind it. You said that you used what did you use? A tattoo gun for the design
Yeah,
or? And,
Eisengang. Yeah, tattoo gun. Yeah.
okay. And you were practicing on fruits?
Yeah, yeah, I watched some beginner
Okay,
tutorials, and
but
they told me
but never on
fake
skin.
skin, fake skin. No, I realized very fast because I freak out so easily when I do stuff to people. I'm very easily having like this little panic that kind of I do something to somebody, like. And
No.
even if I do arts on your arm, it could have this emotion like, oh, what have I done to him? You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
I just think my personality does not really match into this
The
world.
tattoo world.
Yeah, I'm just not cool enough. So, yeah, maybe it will be like, an icebreaker to to be there with somebody who does it professionally. And, because I also even use ink. I don't have ink that is good for skin and I don't want to buy it. So my children, some of them are, a bit older and I mean 3, but they move into adolescence and I just told them all the paint I have at home will just make you lose your arm. If ever you go home from a party, which will be maybe in 2 years, and they come home with a beer too much, I don't want to have them to paint, with the so you have to know what you have at home. I just saw like this. I thought don't even buy this ink, but it's just my crazy imagination. They will not do that, of course, but I just thought, oh no, I focus really on shoes, on leather, and I think it's also very cool. Like, yeah, I tattoo, but no, how you think about I tattoo shoes and stuff, just all the rest, only that skin. So if you
Something
want to
that
have really your tattoo done, you just have to die first, and then we talk again.
okay. Something that I wanted to bring up. We haven't spoken about this. I haven't asked you about this, but you're doing your art, especially the collab right now, because it's something meaningful. It's something that you respect, ecology, the
Mhm.
climate, and it's something purposeful for you. How does it make you feel as an artist, or do you have any opinions when you see people selling like a banana for millions of dollars? Like,
Ah,
have you had
yeah,
any
why is the
opinions of
banana
that?
not tattooed? It's not even a tattooed banana.
Can you sell your art, your banana, your fruit tattooed?
Yeah, I mean, I just calculated the effort that he had, and then I've seen how much work it takes me, and now that's my new prices. So the banana is like how many billions? So, so I just made a new calculation of my prices, so it helped me economically. No, seriously, um, I know we judge very quickly about these concepts, and probably I'm a bit too dumb to know exactly all the layers that are behind. What I know is that it's definitely not about the skills there, maybe not even about the idea, maybe it's more about just doing it and having the balls to just say, that's my piece. And actually, the piece is not the banana because it's always going to be a new banana in a new place, and somebody's going to buy the right to have it. So it's also kind of economically very efficient, very genius. You make
Yes.
you sell a concept. I would dream of that, but no, I actually I'm different in a certain ways, and I think it's important to know who you are in that. I'm not even jealous and say I'm not the one to say I have to have this concept too now that I don't have to do work anymore, not to do like actual pieces anymore, and just more like about this concept. I think. It's very interesting those concepts because they can provoke you a little bit and like say maybe it inspires you and you want to copy that. Too late, he's already done it. You will not be able to copy that. That's the thing. It's only for one person, and then it's a new story going on. And also those artists that make those vibes. I mean, if I hang up a banana on a ranch, whatever, a ranch, doesn't matter. Nobody will probably care. Maybe if I do it now, in your podcast, probably everybody will care. But maybe if I do it alone in my house, you have to have also the skills to have the network and to have somebody telling you, hey, let's do something at this huge whatever art basel. And if nobody will see the banana, it will not be a piece everybody talks about it. So it's also those people have a long journey behind them until they are there and have to kind of the scene like I have a scene, and they have also like they have a wall, and they have another setting. The setting I would love to have, yes, and I would probably use it in a different way. I would use it more like in a way that I would think of like this meaningful but still materialist. I mean, but still something that you can see. What's the word? Like something still materialized. I would still do a painting or a
Mhm.
sculpture. Yeah, like right now I will not tell you the whole thing because it's still in progress, but I'm now thinking of a piece of art that actually will flip over and then kind of be another piece of art. Like, it's really changing from one piece into the another piece. And there I will
Ooh.
laser machine, and also next to tattooing, you see, I love techniques a lot and stuff. And so I've also bought myself a laser machine. I was not aware that you have to build this thing together yourself. So I was actually astonished. No, I was I pulled it together, and of course it did not make a move. Nothing happened. Not even a light turned on nothing happened. So I was like, yeah, of course I broke it even before I could use it. Of course, I was like, oh my God. Probably I've touched some lenses or whatever, and the introduction was impossible to understand. And so I've tried, and then I've seen there is like an alarm button. This was pushed down at the beginning, and then you have to release that, and then it worked. And so I was also this emotional journey for me. Like, I've been able to build together that machine. I didn't create it, but at least I've built it together and didn't break it in the progress. And so that's an emotion. And now I love the machine. It's like my left hand, whatever, my little helper. So also working with that, and so you can kind of like use, like I work with vinyls, old albums, and I cut them. So many hours I've just used to find out the best and fastest and most beautiful way to cut vinyls into pieces, and those pieces will be built into a big, kind of canvas out of broken albums. So I love this idea to reproduce and to use stuff that will not work anymore, and use the material and recycle it in art.
So this year, you've really been expanding in the tools that you've been using. You've mentioned the tattoos, the tattoo gun, the laser. What else? What are you? I think you also mentioned to me that you're doing wood burning. Is that correct?
Yeah, burning. I'm burn. This is out of wood, so please, don't give me any wrong ideas. But no, I'm burning. I'm burning, and more. It's like paper and cartoon, and I'm burning it in forms. And so during the process of burning paper, I mean, there will be leftovers. I'm working with the leftovers, and it's touching me so much, and also burning me so much sometimes. So it's very physical, and now I have bought these protections, but sometimes I still work without, because I need it a bit. This kind of you feel the heat, but you don't burn yourself, and then you are kind of I'm more present then.
Mhm.
It eases me, and then I'm very focused, because you have to be focused. I mean, you really have to be focused when you play with fire, everybody. Good. Modern message number two. Yeah, so that's a very interesting approach to art. And actually, instead of using brush strokes, kind of these burned elements are my brush strokes, and then I build layers. And I love it so much, because it's you go from one to the other kind of subject and topic, and it's a way of planning it, but then you give it out of your hands, because the fire makes something else. And I mean, it's not maybe a fire, it's just the flame has its own direction, and this also has absolute interesting ideas, the flame, and then the flame brings me to new ideas, and I turn it again. And so these layers up, and I like it a lot, because also here we have like material, and it's also talking about the sensitivity of a material, and of the limited lifetime that something has when you even provoke it and burn it a bit. And I also like how it fades from black to like this brownish. I like the
Mhm.
colors too. Yeah.
So you can do speed painting, but can you do speed wood burning? Can you do it fast, or do you have to take your time?
On stage, yeah, I was thinking of something like, yeah, it would be more a bit of a fake, like more about the effect than like maybe have like the painting is already there, something. I hope not everybody who's gonna hire me listens to that. No, but you can still have an effect, that you put like something protection against fire, and then you have an extra layer that you will burn out down on stage, and what comes is the final painting behind. Everybody's like, "What? Did she burn that now?" I mean, then it's gonna be obvious. No, it's been prepared, but it's gonna be still a lovely opening act or whatever.
It's
But
still,
then you
yeah,
have.
it's a good show. I mean,
Uh,
yeah.
and then like burn the city, burn that city down. There's, I think, lots of songs also that I can use about Bern. Yeah. And also
Eh,
the capital of Switzerland. No, yeah, it's Bern. But
oh yeah, that's right. Burn, that's right.
Bern the city. Yeah.
So I wanted to go back to your presence on stage. When you're on stage, or maybe you're performing, do you only perform on the stage or do you also perform like in the streets? Like where do you choose your venues?
They are not really chosen by myself. Usually I get a request. I mean,
Oh.
like, I didn't choose to paint the queen. Like, that was really more like coming from the TV. That would be a beautiful height that you've reached in life, and you always can be the one to say, I will come to you. I don't know if I come to America to paint the president right now, or very soon. No, I mean, it's not always the bigger the better, but yeah, usually it's request. But on the street, rather not, just because how to say, then I'm a street painter. Usually these settings they request you painting at about 7 or 8 paintings, and it's just a question of work that you put into framing a piece you frame it on this wooden easel. Yeah, and then this takes like 1.5 hours, and I can't perform several times. I've been
Okay.
asked several times to be look like on the streets for these buskers events all over the world, and it's actually so cool. And I would love to be that one, but then you need probably 3 people helping you, or you maybe just find an easier way to apply. Like you only have one canvas, and the rest you will just apply and put away. Yeah, but in the end, it's mostly scenes when I do shows, and sometimes it's even on the floor, but that's details. Yeah, usually it's like scenes and events, and maybe charity events or opening events, or you have to like a jubilee. So you have like somebody that's gonna be receiving the painting afterwards. Yeah.
Mhm. So, we've discussed your art, your growth. You mentioned just right now, a moment ago, you painting for the Queen. So you've painted for a few high-profile people. You've had many performances. Can you share what is the happiest memory you have from all of the performances that you've ever done? Is there one that just stands
Ah,
out from all of them? I mean, one that's closest to your heart.
yeah. Yeah, I think the answer this year, the answer is clear. Last year it would have been another one because that's an event that has happened this year, and it's been a jubilee series of events that have been in Bern, as for Bern, and they have asked me to also perform on my birthday. That was the concept. You invite an artist, and he does his thing uh, during her or his birthday. And so on 4th of March, I could perform a whole evening, and that's a whole different story from performing 5 or 15 minutes. It's really an evening, twice 45 minutes. And as for the timing, I could have done better because it happened like I had so many ideas, and the whole calculation of what takes how long. Yeah, this homework I could have done better, but it just happened that the first part was already very long, and then we made a short break, and then I made the second part a bit shorter. But it's so interesting because there's been like a friend of mine, and she's doing this, like she does comedy shows, the whole she's like she's professional in that, and she knows what it takes to perform a whole evening and to build it up, the whole concept and everything. She was like, yeah, great, you have 2 evenings now, or even 3 actually, because you erased stuff. So I've done a very colorful and also deep but also ironic evening, which started from me playing the violin in the dark together with silent bass. It's also a friend of mine, and he's doing very, very deep music sounds, and he builds up with a loop station, and so we've played a piece of him, and I improvised on it, and then there was like the beginning was like very epic. It was written, "You are nowhere," and then we've played, and then a certain moment, it was suddenly, "You are now here," which are just the same letter with two dots. And so I've just started with like this epic thing, and then I've also realized I want to have to start like that, but I want to put back some kind of irony, like why is it that epic, you know? Because afterwards, like how can you move on? So I really made myself nearly crazy to, you know, find a smooth way to put everything I want to be and I want to talk about inside this one evening. And it's nearly freaked me out sometimes, and then it's just been so much fun again because, you know, sometimes you only have the pressure, but then again, the pressure brings out, you know, the pressure just has this unique ability sometimes to kind of work towards me, and then it just makes like explosions in different areas. It's like psh, and with this pressure, it's really important for me. Sometimes I also say like the water that is gas, and then with pressure you kind of make it to water, and then you bring it to the pipeline. And then in the end, you have the third one of the egret states, and the third one will be substance. So actually, you have like from that to liquid, and then you have the flow that everybody talks about. And actually, to change from these vision stuff to really go into the flow, that needs so much pressure. And I think it's very interesting because you have like a chemistral, something out of chemistry, and then you can really say, I work exactly like that. And in the end, you have like something. Yes, with substance. And the whole process is very fragile, and it's very important to have at a certain point yeah, some pressure. And you have always have a deadline. And that evening was just so rewarding for me. It was amazing. I could talk about, you know, the beginnings. I looked back 20 years of craziness. I called it very, with a twinkle in my eyes, I've called it the superlative. It's something in the like Germanistic. I don't know if you have it in English too. Like yeah, it's usually it's like if it's the highest, the greatest, the worst, whatever. It's like, you know, that's the superlative actually. So I made a word game with the superlative. You know the superlative. Yeah, is it something
Superlative.
common?
Superlative.
The superlative, yeah. So I made a word game and it was the superlative. So I actually wanted
Okay.
to bring in all the highlights of my career. And but it's not just about the best, it's also, you know, the worst. It's like the whole crazy story of little Corinne actually wanted to conquer the art world, and what happens is like the first job is like, I don't pay that. You know, it's like I talked about this emotion, like here I am, and then it's like, yeah, sometimes you go with you have a great flow, you have a great progress, and on other you have moments where you have lots of ideas, but kind of you don't know where to, in which places to bring them, and in which concepts and which collapse. So I'm very glad that I've had 20 years to learn now, and I think I improved a bit.
So with all of your collabs that you've done, with all of the work that you've done, all the symbolism and all the, I mean, because you're very, you don't just throw the paint. I think you are, from what I see, you're very thoughtful and very mindful and purposeful in what you're doing. Uh, do you have any hope that the audience will take something away from your art or your performances?
I even have more than I hope. I have proof, proof of evidence. They tell me things like that all the time. And it's a cool thing that actually since summer, different people have just told me without me asking them, because that's ridiculous. You will not get a honest answer if you ask them. But different people have told me like I was inspiring to them. And that sounds maybe a bit egoistic if I say it that way, but I hope you understand it the correct way. This was also inspiring to me again, to just kind of keep going, because sometimes I'm also a bit out of energy and like, oh, why didn't I just choose a more normal job, or even something I would call just a job, because that's even one of maybe the aspects that can be kind of a problem too, that I don't just consider my work as a job. And sometimes I really should just see it, oh, come on, it's a job, just get the job done and, don't go too deep. But it's, of course, seductive to see art as way more. And it happens all the time. Always, go too deep. And yeah, so for me, it's very important to have these moments when people tell me I can inspiring, because I also get absolutely negative feedback from people, maybe just in private life when I'm maybe not officially having a performance and maybe they are a bit triggered or whatever, like who is she and why is she talking so fast or whatever, and then people are, they see I'm open and then they think they can be open too, and then they give me maybe feedback that is kind of making me feel insecure and like that I don't want to be just the one that is crazy and just talking too fast. Prefer to be the one that kind of brings in a mindset that is inspiring also to other people. And sometimes people are also like triggered in a way, oh, she's doing so many things, and what do I do with my life next to her? And I don't want to trigger that at all. I mean, if it's helpful, it can be even a good trigger in a good way. It can be like, okay, she's doing lots of stuff, and maybe I can take one project and go move that forward, and it's absolutely enough because I'm just not able to follow one project for the rest of my life. Like it needs those people, it needs a majority of people that rather sticks to and holds on to a project and follows that through the whole process, and doesn't just learn to tattoo a banana but to really learn to tattoo. So it's very important to have a maturity of those kind of people. But in the end, I'm a bit different, and I just had to find a path that kind of deals with that, and that kind of even uh, gives me the feeling that it's an advantage to be like that, to be like open for everything all the time, and have new ideas and drop the other idea, and instead taking this and having always be open for new influence and new inputs and new material. And so you will never know what I will do in 1 year. But I think the people that have like a project and they follow that, it's probably a bit the more healthy way. And I'm very happy if I can inspire people to say like, I actually wanted to draw too, and I've wanted to learn Spanish. And I'm surely the person that will say, come on, do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool thing, and gives you the feeling back that you've had when you've been 17. You learn something, then you make mistakes, and then you kind of make the same mistake even again in 2 months. It's like, that's cool. I mean, then you're still alive, you're still learning, and yeah, still open.
So I really love this interview so far and just seeing and hearing about your growth. And I wanted to ask you about your art in general. When you look at it over all the years that you've grown and you've produced so many artworks, uh, how does your perspective of the world, how does art reflect your perspective of the world?
Yeah, I think it's in there more and more. Um, when I've been very young and just started, I have seen myself as a provider of drawing, and so they want something, so I try to fulfill the task, and I've been already challenged a lot by fulfilling that accordingly to their desires, and that so it was lots about learning. So I thought the deal is clear, deal is great. I learned to draw. Actually, I was called my clients, not officially, but inside, like I called them like, my mentors. So you've talked about mentors. That's second part of the answer. I've just seen them as my mentors because they forced me to draw something that I'm not able yet. It's like a teacher that tells you, okay, that's a task, but I was given money. So I saw it as a very high privilege to get some money back for learning, because usually when you learn, that's a privilege and you will not be paid. That's really something you do for your personal growth. So I love the concept of being already paid through the process of learning. You are paid less usually, unless you are incredibly skilled. So I hoped for some skills and for some progress. And, so I always try to push the boundaries. And then always again and again there came the point when this was not enough anymore. Because you learn sometimes like this, you get very good very fast, and then the curve is gonna be flat and flatter and flatter. And what I've realized, I was not willing to do the same thing again and again and again. I was not willing, was not inspired, not motivated again to draw. There was this caricature that I've done for so many years, and after 20,000 or whatever, I just didn't feel it so much anymore. I was a bit exhausted, and then something else had to come. And what is so interesting is when I've started with speed painting, then actually my other drawings became way better because it took pressure out of this relation. And sometimes it's also good to take pressure away because it was not anymore this one-way path. It was more like, oh, I'm so glad next shows which you asked about the preparation, and I didn't mention the whole material preparation, but I don't know if it's so interesting. But I can tell you, it's a huge case that I feel, and I have concept and little bags inside the case with all the tools to apply, paint and all the lights that you need, all the special paint and everything, and extra brushes. But then I'm so glad I'm just also able to do just drawings. So yeah, that's about the process something I wanted to really mention, to say sometimes do something else, and that takes pressure away, and then you just do it like, cool, I still have this ability. I'm so glad, and let's see how far I can go to this evening. I will focus more on this aspect and on that aspect. It's the fun came back. So also pandemic helped because I was very glad afterwards to even have jobs again, and like, whatever, bring me out there. I wanna do some arts for people, please. Yeah. But when it comes about how I see the world, yeah, you see ecological aspects and also social. I mean, humans are important for me too. So for humans, I try to be there. I try to be authentic. I try even to sacrifice, how to say, to show them, even if I sacrifice part of me in a way that I say something authentic, and the 5 people will say, that's so cool. And maybe 20 people will say, how could she say that,
Yeah.
I don't care about the quotient. I will only hear those 5 people after they say, that was so cool. And actually, these 20 people, which are a bit like, did she say that? Did she just roast the volunteer? She just goes over this border and she just says that because she thought it. It's like a bit this, I play around a bit with these, like maybe Asperger's, they just say everything because they don't know which things you say and which things you don't. So maybe I have like maybe I even have some aspects of that, but I sometimes really don't really know where is the borders and the limits, and I don't see the how to say, the reason to always limit yourself. I think don't limit yourself so much because sometimes you smile, but you should not. You sometimes should rather hold on to the truth. So I think I can inspire people just by being a very authentic person and not being shy to also say something that maybe is not for everybody. And so they can take that in, and like sometimes in another situation, they maybe think of me and like, she would not bother saying that now, and that would be like a way that I would love to kind of stay in the mind of people, and even also to like produce stuff that they love, whatever hobbies and passions they have, to do stuff, and to be open even if you're 60, because I will be doing stuff. If ever I will be 60, I will be still doing stuff if I'm able. Yeah, and the other thing is, I always hope to sell the painting for charity, or to give in some like meaningful thoughts. Like for climber now, I've painted a girl that balanced a ball, but the ball was white, was just completely white. And then I said, yeah, what kind of ball is it? Is it football? Is it a basketball? It's an earth ball. And then that was the moment when you have seen the earth ball in special black light. So, I've brought the words together with my painting, with my performance. And so it's an earth ball. That's not a game. And don't drop it, And really, it's all about the balance. It's about the balance, about all the CO2 and we have to keep back and hold on to that balance, the ecological balance. And we kind of made things go in a different direction, and humans interrupted a bit too much. And now we also should interrupt again and take responsibility of what we did. So I think my art is always very close to the way I see the world, but also the little person that I am, what can I do with my life, and how can I fill it with something that makes me get out of my bed and be motivated or inspired. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Corinne. That concludes the first part of this podcast. And now I'm ready for the bonus questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
One is, if you could create an art piece anywhere in the world, where would it be?
That's a good question. Like spontaneously, I would say I would just love to go to Tokyo so much one day. I think they are kind of ahead of time and very innovative, and I love many aspects of Japan, and I'm just very curious getting in touch with also culture that has maybe even some things that are similar to ours, but I think also different rules, and it's so interesting. Also, the respectful way they are showing each other, and I like that a lot. And still, also the technologically, they are very innovative, and maybe my shows could match also into that into that kind of mindset. And also, I came to that because when I've done the shoes, somebody who has a lot of impact in the art industry said like, oh, I thought only Japanese people can come up with, stuff like that. So I didn't expect that from Switzerland. So I was like, come on, okay. So it kind of made me proud, but also like I didn't do so much, I put metallic on the shoe, but I liked it. But then I thought again, like, yeah, they're really innovative country. And so that's why I say Tokyo.
Okay, next question is, what is your favorite art supply or art tool?
That's probably just, yeah. We have here a 6B Faber-Castell graphite aquarelle pencil. It can be also 8B. I love just the soft ones so much. And it's so simple, but sometimes it's a simple things. And I always have one with me, the one with acrylic or not. And I just love to draw and write. And then you have, they can be very dark, and you can fade them to white. I love these pencils
I
so
have
much. You have
mine.
it? Oh,
Is mine is just a decoration. It's just here.
yes. You go and buy your pencil. 6B or 8B. Make sure it's a
Yeah.
soft one.
This one is a 6B
Ah,
for sketching. So I'm
great.
trying to learn. I'm trying to speed up and I'm trying to catch up.
Next time we'll make a little workshop.
Okay. So my next question is, do you have a secret talent or hobby outside of art?
I think I found the secret how to deal with a teenage child. Because the relationship to my oldest child, it's just improved when she entered the teenage age. And right now, yeah, we just have such a cool relationship, and it's lots about humor. Like when she says, when do I have to be back at home tonight? And I'm like, when are the others allowed to? Like, and what's the latest they're allowed to? Like she says 10, and I'm like, okay, come back at 10:30. I know she's gonna come back with the others, but but it's so, we have so many fun moments when she looks at me like, oh, I'm allowed to stay the longest, but I will not stay there alone. But it's just a sample. Of course, when you have freaked out friends, I mean, she's only 14, and that will not be possible. Then you have to have different measurements. But we I have a very cool relationship right now, and I'm like to her, hey, what are we doing? Because it's just so relaxed and cool, and we can move on like this for next few years. I would be very happy if just stay like that. I mean, it will change, but just that we always get back into that cool relationship that we have. And it's not like, wannabe. It's not like I pretend to be a teenage, whatever. I know I'm the mother, but we just play with our roles a bit. Like, she has to be the teenager. Sometimes I have to be the mother sometimes, but we kind of also make fun of our roles. Like, sorry, as a mother, I have to tell you this now. So it's really, we have a deep, relationship. On the other hand, it can be also very funny, and I think it's also not even that hierarchic. It's really, or it's not that hierarchical. It's kind of, she's also allowed to criticize me, and I'm always open to the children to say, what is your wishes right now? And I don't talk about material. What would you love me to do so you have a better life? Like what's your wishes towards me as your mother? And then we make these circles now and then. And it's very interesting what they say. Once they said, you should be like more, what is it? See, tougher, like strict. And I was like, okay. I was just pregnant with the third one. I was like, okay, the third one will have a strict mother from beginning. So I love this chemistry right now we have, and it's not always like that, of course, but I think it's kind of a gift too to find this. It's a narrow path, and to find it, and then to build up from there.
Thank you. My next question is, if you could collab with any artist, dead or alive, who would you collaborate with?
That's a good one. Yeah, I would love to collab with the absolute impossible guy to ever do a collab, because he's told to be said to be very horrible in everything that is like deadlines. But I think it would have been very interesting to have a chat with Da Vinci, and
Mm.
he's like the universal genius. That is also like only possible if I would travel back in time. And I always come up with stuff, when I'm seeing a company, when I see something, I always have ideas. And I think he had like back in that time way more possibilities to develop stuff. Nowadays, you can say, okay, the shoe, it's like my canvas now, okay, but you move on from there. But I cannot, create the wheel, and so
Mm.
he could come up with stuff in autonomy and not anatomy. And yeah, so he was so multifaceted and just universal genius. And I would have loved to collaborate and see what those two crazy brains are able to, and if maybe we hate each other and then we love each other or whatever. And that would be so interesting to have like a friend like this on my side. I do have very cool friends also. One is very genius that I'm really close to. Yeah. So I
Okay.
don't complain about genius in my friends out there. I'm absolutely happy with you. But it was just universal and open for everything. And I think that would have been so cool. Like whatever you talk about, you just dig in and you're so interested, and yeah, go deeper and deeper.
And just to close out with Da Vinci, if you were to meet with him, what would you ask him?
Hmm. Well, I would ask him to give me personal protection so nobody's gonna burn me. Isn't it the time when they still burned women that were a bit
You protect me.
distorted them? I know it's actually not even a fun topic, but surely he would have been the wrong guy to protect me. He would, yeah, probably be glad at a certain point to get rid of me. No, seriously. I would have asked him maybe not to be as messy and to finish his project. No, I would have asked him maybe about the whole purpose of this whole thing. And what is really sometimes interesting to me is I would have maybe talked about evolution, because I sometimes wonder, I'm not that religious, I'm sorry, but it is so late in the podcast, so everybody who is quitting it now is already too late. So I'm not that religious. So I would have maybe asked him about the evolution. And I think it's so interesting because the human evolution, I mean, it's all about surviving. So you make chaotic, different kind of babies, and the ones that they perform the best, you know, they will have other babies, and if, you know, the surroundings will change, different kind of people will survive. So it's very interesting, the whole evolution. And if you look back, it actually started with just life, you know, just a cell. And so I've asked my father that once, and he was like, yeah, what a question. And the question is like, actually, I already could give the answer, but it's so funny because the evolution of bee, or it will sting me, and maybe if I'm allergic, I will die, you know. So the evolution actually just wants to live. It doesn't really give a damn about who lives and what lives. It's just because the different aspects of lives are sometimes fighting each other, or they eat each other. So, um, so I was like, as a young person, maybe I would have asked that, like, what's your interpretation? Is like all the different animals have their own evolutionary drive to survive, and is it about pushing the strongest, or is it just about just live? What is this drive that is this absolute original source of drive about life?
Oh, that's very deep. But you mentioned evolution, and one of the bonus questions that I like to have, that I like to ask all of the guests that I have on this channel, Creativity Worth Expressing, is we've explored already your current evolution. How do you see yourself evolving in the next 10, 20 years?
Oh. Oof, that's a deeper question than you think that it is. It's really impossible to say. I can say something I hope, because lately my health could have been better, and not able. I haven't found out what it is yet. So right now, actually, it's winter time, and I'm just still, you know, I have these periods where um, I feel very hot, kind of. I'm still not perfectly healthy. So therefore, I'm not sure if maybe the shows aren't my future, because maybe it's the adrenaline I have, and there's some aspects of stage fear. I don't know if those shows are too much. Not really for my mind, because my mind is loving the challenges and everything, but the body is, in the end, it's the limits
Mm.
are, in my case, I would say I'm limited by my body. Everybody is, when it comes to, yeah, live and death. It's always these limits we have, and it ends, and it starts and it ends with the body. And so also I wonder sometimes if maybe my career on stage ends with my body too. And I'm on the journey to find out what to do to be really healthy, in a stable way. Like nearly everybody around me, they are sick for 2 days, but I'm really on another level right now. And so what I hope is to be focused on my shows. And next to that, I, even when I've been sick for 4 weeks lately, and then never got back really to great health since. Also, I can say it, I've postponed that podcast twice, and still today I was like, I'm still not fine. So I really need to find out what it is, and so something is wrong. And I really hope to, next to my shows, I can move on with other projects. But you see, shows can be 100% already, and if your energy level is less, there's a kind of gap of energy, or you have to find like some miracle way to do that. So yeah, I'm that's also why I'm starting to think of like using laser machine, and then I draw something and the machine actually does the stupid job. Like when I've done already the whole scheduling and sketching and everything. So I'm trying to find different concepts. Also, I'm working on an idea with metallic mobiles. It's like it's nearly like a sculpture then that will turn. So there's lots of stuff going on in different industries, and I'm doing that also because I would love to have different other ways to express myself, but also to earn money. I mean, then I could maybe slowly replace shows with different works. And I just don't want to be the 50 years old woman waiting to be hired for an art show one day and like not getting requests anymore because whatever, because maybe society's just still that asshole, that to say, oh, you're old now. And I don't trust society too much. I don't want to be naive and like, be surprised by, society is not as modern again as I had hoped. So I'm like a bit doubtful, but also positive. I say like, if I have other concepts, if I have other things people love, then it will be like with the caricatures. I'm actually already ahead. I do other things. And if anybody who wants a show from me, I can be, yeah. But it will be also, again, this relationship has to be freed from this pressure. That's like also, again, now it's always stage, it's always live. And I think that's a solution for me. And that will be a very cool way to also age and, to say, I have my other concepts and whatever the hell my mind will come up with, industries and stuff, and do great and big things and things that touch people. And that will be another thing that, like, something that enriches the art world, not maybe a banana, something maybe that is really like touching the people and maybe also even joyful to the inner child we have. It can still be something that like surprises or brings that joy back, but it can still be deep, like this balance. I would love to have concepts like that also sell. They really, really have to give money, because I will be able to do collabs next to shows. That's cool. But if I want to move on as an artist, I also need a network. I'm building it up already, but there needs lots of stuff happening in the next years, and either it will happen or not, and we will see. And I hope it's gonna happen. And I think that the more positive I stay, the rather this will happen, because people don't want to be surrounded by negative people. So yeah, I'm building up now, already focusing on another direction, but I would say, our eyes have an angle like this. So if we talk about focus, I don't think we have to focus only, we have a bigger range to focus on different things at the same time. Maybe I come up with the formula at the end, like I always say, the day has 24 hours. So you sleep 8 hours, that's very healthy. Then you work 8 hours, that's actually enough. We still have 8 hours. And I would love to use that formula strongly for me and, do my shows in those 8 hours, and still I have time with my children, and those 8 extra hours to really use them carefully and build up and find a way to kind of have this balance between different art that I produce in my art house, that I can expose in maybe the Art Basel, something like that would be amazing, but nearly impossible to reach. And I want to go on with shows as long as I can, but I've mentioned it. I carry my wheel case myself. I don't have a car, so I will do that as long as I'm able to carry my case around. And yeah, sometimes I also have a driver, but mostly, and as long as I can do that, I want to do shows. I love shows. I love to perform, but I love to be healthy, and probably a bit less can be better right now.
Well, we hope you get better. Hope you get healthy. And if you do get healthy, I hope you keep on with the shows. Earlier, you mentioned that during your shows, you also have like little gags and you stand up there. Do you see yourself evolving into maybe a stand-up comedian?
Well, that's a good question. Would you see me there? Uh, well, I say in English, there is a fine line between rocking the show and shocking the row. And I think for comedy, it's like that. I love the concept of stand-up and of comedy, and I think what I'm the best, I'm in my best form when I do it mostly improvised. And sometimes I have this dream also because of this whole material stuff that I have to bring on stage, and they have to protect the stage. And it's quite a thing when they have me. I mean, it's possible, but depending on yeah, if you paint in a palace, for example, it's a bit of a thing that you come there with painting. And then you have all these, these special art pieces that should not be, uh, covered with my paint in the end. So yes, sometimes I have this dream that how cool would it be to just, go on stage and be there and improvise. But right now, I really don't have the balls to do that. But in my dreams, I often have these like, oh, how cool would that be? But I'm like, yeah, but if they don't like you, or if they don't consider you to be funny, because actually I don't work with my face too much. I mean, not in a way that I'm like building up a joke and so now everybody has to laugh. So I sometimes bring them just whoosh. And I've loved these evenings so much because I've had lots of irony involved, but also lots of philosophy and lots of also joking about myself to show them, some rules and stuff that I've come up with. Um, I would love actually to be something like that. But actually, right now is always when they have me on stage, it's always like she paints. She's the one with the painting. But right now, I'm working on this speech. Either there's a monkey in every monkey, or maybe a billion lessons, because I've done a calculation then that in Switzerland, if you calculate it down, it's really 1 billion lessons. It's a one with 6 zeros, right? And a lesson is 45 minutes here. So actually, it's a very cool concept because like now also we have spent maybe 2 lessons together of this million. I mean, isn't it cool? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
it's another aspect of seeing life. So, and this whole speech, actually, it turns out there will be lots of stand-up elements. I'm too fast, so actually I'm not really that good because I don't build them up slowly enough. So maybe, people, I'm just moving over the jokes and then I throw them out, and maybe you should work a bit differently so people really have the
Mhm.
time to digest all of them. So what is funny that actually my friend, she was telling me to or one of my friends, and I have a friend that I've gotten to know just after the pandemic. So we've had a certain similarity in the years we've passed. And then we were happy to perform again. So we connected well, and she's a comedian. She's very famous in Switzerland and also Germany. She's doing lots of work on stage and in TV and stuff. And now she's actually seeing this talent in me. And so sometimes we work together and we work on her program. And now she's also asked me to, yeah, to do some like ghostwriting for her. And I think that's a cool tool. And I've already done it. Like I've written jokes in her actual program. And sometimes it's not like working, it's like more we talk together and then we just come up with word games all the time and associations and other, and then one begins a phrase, the other finishes it. So actually, it's just naturally happened. It's not even something that you have to decide. It just actually happened, and it's just going on. So actually, yeah, I'm already kind of doing it, but now just
Okay.
hidden. And I would love to write that speech and hold it somewhere. And, maybe even if it's just 10 minutes out of it. And I think this speech will be a mixture of like pseudo deep. It will be like sold as a deep thing with these keynote speeches. But I think there will be kind of a series of jokes that will like be. Did she say that? It's deep, but still, all the time you make a joke of stuff. And as long as I make a joke about me, I mean it. But as long as I kind of make a joke about on my costs, you know what I mean? That then I think it's a fair thing, and I would love to do that.
Okay, so my last of the bonus question is, are there any artists that you would recommend we check out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, it's so many people in the internet, all the time. But let me think. Yeah, actually, lately I've been to a vernissage of an artist, and then I've seen her pieces, and they were like each had a different language, you know, of each had a different concept, and still you saw it's kind of done by the same person. And I admire her so much as an artist, and I think she deserves to be seen by way more people. And she will maybe get a bit angry if I mention her now, but it's my mom, and she's uh, she's so down to earth, you know. She is showing her work in the city where she's lived for how many years? 40 years, something. And so many people came also to the vernissage, like, you know, so many friends and people she knows, and also other people that maybe she doesn't know yet. And my father did like a speech and did some music, and he did all the frames. So actually, it's also like a collab, by the way. It's a collab, and he did lots of stuff with the wood, and he's very good with that. And he has probably at the end he had probably more work than her. She has done the paintings over years, so like 7 years. And it's not the first vernissage, and she's just, yeah, every time again I'm like, wow, she's so creative and she's so free. And it's so interesting also for me because she's been raised in another time, and so she has found her language to express herself, and it's so free. And I'm way more the chaotic person that is always open for, you know, the tattoo machine. She wouldn't do that. But it's so beautiful to see like how free she is in that, because she doesn't need a tattoo machine. You know, she doesn't need the tattoo gun. She has the brushes and the paint, and she can find so many worlds in that. And yeah, I think she deserves actually to be seen by way more people. But she does not even request that, you know. So I admire her also for that. She's yeah, she's actually very happy with what she's done, and I mean with the reactions she's got, and it's reactions by people that often she knows personally, which is probably more precious also than by strangers you don't know when you have to travel somewhere to places, and you know. But I admire her a lot for what she's doing.
And
It's inspiring.
what is your mother's name?
It's Cecile
Cecile.
Sutter. Yeah. So she has the same initials as me. So I'm always making really bad jokes like, you know, one day all the paintings which couldn't be sold, I will take them and then, you know, just erase, and then just see Sutter, and I will just sell them as mine. Conquer the art world. I'm glad she has a good sense of humor and she kind of knows me. Yeah.
So thank you, Corinne. And now I have the concluding question. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the last question is, why is creativity worth expressing for you?
It's way more than just worth expressing. Worth expressing sounds like it's worth it. It's like, yeah, okay, it's worth the price. It's like something essentially for me. It's like other people drink and uh, eat and sleep, and for me, it's essential. It's a way of living, and maybe it's even sometimes a way of surviving. And even if you give sometimes more than is healthy, it's for me. Um, I couldn't imagine a life without expressing myself through art, and I'm so glad so many people have done already so much work. So, you know, I can just profit from the violin had to be built before I can play it, for example. You know, if there wasn't the violin, I wouldn't play it, and no piano. So I'm so glad actually to live nowadays where all those things are for me kind of they're around. I can buy them or lend them, whatever, I can use them. And yeah, I would find another tool, or you know, you can have just a coal. So luckily, it does not need much. Yeah, luckily, it just needs a piece of wood. You burn it down, and you've coal, and you can even make your paper. I just learned that you can make paper out of shit of a cow. So you know, everybody can. No excuses. Everybody can do arts. Well, yeah. So to me, it's just important that my crazy and creative and chaotic mind, and sometimes it's just, yeah, these ideas, and then I find directions where to canalize all those ideas, and I would just be locked away somewhere in a dark place if those ways to express myself wouldn't exist. I would just be not able to live in that world, really not.
Well,
So I'm grateful that I can make a living out of it.
well, thank you so much, Corinne. I really love this interview, and I love you for inspiring me to make this program, not just because I was originally this was gonna be like a 10-minute. I mean, that's the goal. That's how I started it because I came to you for the podcast, the Truth That Heals that I have separately, and then for this channel. But this channel, it was in my mind as a 10-minute thing, but then we were talking more, and you inspired me to transform it into a podcast so it can really go deeper and dive into the beauty of the imagination and symbolism. And I think without your inspiration, I don't think I would be. I mean, I'd be somewhere, but I don't think I would be here. Maybe not yet, but I mean, you really helped propel me as well. So, huge thank you to you, Corinne. And to those who are in the audience listening, go check out Corinne's work. It is phenomenal. She has her website. Also, I follow her on Instagram. You can follow all of the adventures that Corinne Sutter is on over there and go check out her work. And again, Corinne, thank you so much for being here on Creativity Worth Expressing.
Ryan, you're amazing. Thank you.